Wyatt Alcove sat on a park bench, holding a soft drink in a plastic bottle he'd bought from a nearby vendor. He'd just finished jogging but forgot his water at his penthouse. The store he usually bought from was out of mineral water, so he settled for a soda. He often hung out in Central Park after jogging, especially since he passed through here on early morning runs. The park had convenient parking nearby where he left his car. Truthfully, he could jog near his penthouse in Manhattan, but Wyatt preferred places like this. Wyatt Alcove IV was the only child of the Alcove family. He studied at Harvard University, earning a Bachelor of Science in accountancy, and later graduating from their law school. Now a certified public accountant and lawyer, he was one of today's most prominent businessmen, owning prestigious hotels known worldwide. At 32, he had no plans to marry or start a family. It wasn't that he didn't think about it, but work always came first. Many women were interested in Wyatt, but he had no time for them. He was kind, helping many people, which was one reason so many admired him. Still, he was too serious about his future to care much about the present. His phone vibrated in his pocket, and he pulled it out to read a text from his mother, sighing deeply. From Mom. Wyatt Alcove. When are you actually going to settle down? Your dad and I aren't getting any younger. We don't even know if we'll live to see you married or hold our grandkids. I know a nice, beautiful woman who'd be perfect for you. If you two had kids, I'm sure they'd be gorgeous. Want me to introduce you? I'm pretty sure you'd hit it off. Nothing to lose by meeting her. Maybe she's the one. Wyatt shook his head as he read his mother's message. So early in the morning, and she was already sending texts like this. He sighed again, typing a reply. Good morning, Mom. Sorry, but I'm too busy for a blind date. He got an immediate response. You're always working. Can't you take one day off? Come on, make time for this girl I want you to meet. Wyatt sighed deeply again, replying, Sorry, Mom, before slipping his phone back into his pocket. He sipped his soda through a straw and looked around. The sun wasn't too high yet, so it wasn't too hot. He was resting before heading back to his penthouse. He'd run a long distance, starting early since he liked jogging when the streets were quiet, feeling like the road was his alone. Wiping sweat from his forehead with his t-shirt, he thought about his mother's texts. To Wyatt, he was still young, and his parents were only in their mid-50s, so he didn't understand why they were so eager for him to marry. They kept saying he wasn't getting younger and should have a family by now, but that wasn't on his mind. Because they were so insistent, they often set him up on blind dates, which he usually skipped. Would you like to buy some flowers, sir? Wyatt looked up at the child, asking from a short distance. He saw 3 kids holding daisies. In front of them were 4 men dressed in all black, with a white van parked nearby, its door open. Wyatt's brow furrowed. He had a bad feeling. Want some candy, kids? One of the men asked. We've got lots inside. You can take as much as you want. Come see. One of the kids spoke up. But we don't have money to pay, sir. You don't need to pay. It's free, the man replied. Before the kids could be lured, Wyatt stood and called out, Kids! He gave the men a stern look, which they pretended not to notice. He kept walking until he reached them. How much for your flowers? He asked, pointing to the daisies. They're cheap, sir. Just $1 each. Are you buying? One kid asked. Yes, I want to buy all your flowers. The kid's eyes sparkled. Really, sir? Absolutely. Count how many you have. The kids eagerly counted their daisies, thrilled. While they were busy, Wyatt glared at the 4 men. Despite their size, he wasn't intimidated. He was a black belt in taekwondo and enjoyed boxing. The men seemed to notice the threat in his eyes. Instead of reacting, they backed off. Let's go, one of them said, and they shot Wyatt a final sharp look before climbing into their van. Wyatt shook his head, pulled out his phone, and dialed while noting the van's license plate. Hello, Chief Alvarez speaking. the voice answered. This is Alcove, Wyatt said. There's a van I want you to follow and investigate. I suspect they're involved in illegal activities like kidnapping innocent kids. By then, the kids had finished counting and wrapped the daisies in plastic. Sir, here's what you're buying, they said, telling him the total. Wyatt nearly slapped his forehead. He hadn't brought cash, only enough for a Coke. The kids' faces fell, noticing his expression. Don't you have money, sir? One asked sadly. Won't you buy them? No, it's not that, Wyatt said quickly, not wanting to disappoint them. I have money, I just didn't bring it. I still want your flowers. He looked around and spotted a bodega that offered cash-out services. Luckily, his e-wallet was always funded for times like this. I have an idea, he told the kids. Can you wait? I'll cash out at that store. They looked at the bodega he pointed to and nodded, but Wyatt decided to bring them along, worried those shady men might return. Thankfully, it didn't take long, and he got the money. The kids didn't grow impatient. After paying for all their flowers, he invited them to sit on a bench. Thank you so much, sir, the kids said. They looked about 7 or 8, but their speech was mature. Without asking, Wyatt knew they were triplets. They were nearly identical from every angle. No problem, he smiled. Why are you selling so early? In his mind, kids their age should be sleeping, not working at dawn, especially with dangerous people like those men around. The kids' curly brown hair, fair skin, and heterochromia, each with different colored eyes, made them stand out. They looked like they came from a wealthy family. We need to help our mom, one explained, so we won't be a burden when school starts next year. Oh, you're in school? Yes, we're in 3rd grade, they said. Wyatt was surprised. How old are you? 7, they answered. Wow, 7 and already in 3rd grade? He said, impressed. He knew kids that age were usually in 1st grade. Our teachers said it's better for us to be in 3rd grade, even though we're young, one explained. Their articulate speech showed their intelligence, and Wyatt grew fonder of them. He'd been gifted as a child, too, graduating Harvard Law at 24 with ease. What are your names? He asked. I'm Gray Harris, said the one answering most questions. I'm Black Harris, said the middle one. And I'm Red Harris, said the third. Their names were cute, fitting them perfectly. Though it was his first time talking to them, Wyatt felt an instant connection, like he'd known them forever. Something urged him to help them. He felt sorry they were working so young when they should be playing and enjoying childhood. His parents had told him to enjoy being a kid, but Wyatt spent his youth studying, missing out on fun. He didn't want these kids to miss that chance. Where are your parents? He asked. We don't have a dad. We've never met or seen him, Red answered. Our mom works at a factory. She left early for her shift. So your mom raises you alone? Yes, that's why we want to help her, even though she doesn't like us selling, Black explained. How long has she worked at the factory? Since we were 2, her friend said. She started there to raise us properly and feed us, Gray added. But she might lose her job, so she's looking for a new one. So you rarely see her? Wyatt felt even sorrier for them. They nodded. We only see her at night. Sometimes if we sleep early, we don't see her because she's already at work when we wake up. That must be lonely, Wyatt said, unable to imagine their life. Just thinking about waking up without his parents nearby made him sad. Anyway, you mentioned your mum's looking for a job, right? They nodded. I'm looking for a new housekeeper since mine is moving back to her hometown to get married. If your mum's interested, tell her to meet me here tomorrow. Really? You'll give our mom a job? They asked excitedly. Wyatt nodded. Yes, if she accepts. It'd save me time since I'm too busy to interview others. Just tell her to come here tomorrow, same time, and I'll discuss the job offer." "Thank you so much, sir. You're so kind," Gray said happily, the others beaming. Wyatt ruffled Gray's hair, smiling. He wanted to talk more, but his watch timer beeped, signaling he needed to return to his penthouse for work. Wyatt sighed deeply. He was already tired before starting. As a workaholic, he barely rested, leaving no time for dating or fun. The next day, as promised, Wyatt was in Central Park early after jogging. Wyatt Alcover looked toward the child who had just called out to him, waving enthusiastically. Sitting on a nearby bench were 3 kids, all beaming at him with wide smiles. He walked toward them. "Good morning, sir," they greeted cheerfully in unison. "Good morning to you too," he replied with a warm smile. "Have you been here long?" "Not really, sir," one of them answered. "We just came early so you wouldn't have to wait," Red said. "Our mom's with us now, but she had to step away for a moment." Wyatt nodded and crouched slightly to talk to them better. Before he could speak further, the 3 kids suddenly shouted excitedly, "There she is! Our mom's here!" Wyatt followed their gaze, and when he saw the woman they were pointing at, he paused. He hadn't expected her to be so young. And not just young, she was stunning. Petite, fair-skinned, and graceful, she caught attention easily as she walked over. "Mom, this is the nice man who bought all our flowers yesterday," one of the children exclaimed. "He said you could work for him, right? Didn't you say you needed a new job?" As the woman approached, she bowed politely. "Good morning, sir." Wyatt smiled. "Good morning. So you're their mother?" "Yes, I'm Helen Rivera," she replied. "Thank you so much for buying their flowers yesterday." "No problem at all." He gently released her hand after their handshake. "They probably told you already. I have a job offer for you, right?" he added. Helen nodded. "Yes, sir." "I need a housekeeper for my penthouse. It's about a 30-minute drive from here. You and your kids can live there too. That way you can stay close to them." Helen's face lit up. "We can stay together? Really?" "Of course." But her expression shifted slightly to hesitation. "Are there any conditions I should know about?" Wyatt tilted his head, puzzled. "No strange conditions. I pay fair. Why do you ask?" Helen let out a breath and smiled softly. "Then I accept, sir. I really need this job. I actually just got laid off yesterday." Wyatt nodded. "Great. When can you start?" "Right now, if that's okay." "Perfect. I'll drive you to the penthouse. You can pick up your things later. I'll ask my secretary to bring you back if needed." "Thank you so much, sir," Helen said, deeply grateful. Wyatt was relieved, too. Between his busy schedule and lack of free time, it had been difficult finding a new helper. Helen seemed responsible, and her kids clearly loved her. He liked the idea of helping all of them. As they followed Wyatt toward his car, Helen couldn't help but feel a strange mix of gratitude and anxiety. This job meant everything. She would finally be with her kids without worrying about leaving them alone during work hours. For once, they'd be under the same roof. "So Wyatt, do you jog every morning?" Black, one of the triplets, asked, grabbing hold of Wyatt's hand. "Not every day," Wyatt replied. "But most days, yes." "Why do you jog? Isn't it tiring?" Red chimed in. "Well, sometimes we need to get tired so we can stay healthy. When you grow up, jogging will help you stay strong too." He ruffled the kid's hair affectionately. "But for now," he added with a grin, "just eat your veggies and stay active." Suddenly, Gray grabbed her mom's hand and said, "See, Mom? We told you he was really nice." Helen smiled shyly. "Yes, you were right." "You okay?" Wyatt asked, noticing she had slowed down. "Yes, I'm fine," she said, picking up her pace. "Just nervous." Wyatt smiled, his dimples showing. "No need to be. The job's not hard, and I don't bite." As they reached his sleek black luxury SUV, the kids gasped in awe. "It's so shiny," Gray said in amazement. This is the nicest car I've ever seen, Red added. Thank you, Wyatt replied with a smile, holding the door open for them. Helen, meanwhile, tried to hide how tense she felt. She didn't want to breathe too hard or move too much. Everything felt so expensive. Wyatt noticed. My car won't swallow you. Breathe normally, okay? She chuckled nervously and nodded. As the SUV pulled away from the park, Helen stared out the window, overwhelmed by the towering city buildings they passed. Wyatt stayed focused on the road, but Helen couldn't stop herself from glancing at him. His strong hands on the wheel, his sharp jawline, his perfectly styled hair. Have you had breakfast? Wyatt asked suddenly, stealing a glance at her. Yes, sir. We ate before we left, she said quickly, flustered. You sure? You're blushing. Helen quickly looked away. It's nothing, sir. I'm just not used to being inside a car like this. Don't worry, Wyatt said, grinning. You'll get used to it. By the time they reached the parking lot of his penthouse, the kids were practically glued to the windows, staring in awe at the luxurious tower. Do you really live here, sir? Gray asked, his eyes wide with wonder. Yes, Wyatt answered. This is my home. It's so beautiful, Red exclaimed. Do you live here all by yourself? Wyatt nodded with a soft smile. Thank you, and yes, I live alone. He explained that he chose the penthouse because it was close to his company's headquarters. He mentioned he had other properties too, but this was his main residence. Each of the triplets had their own room, and Helen was given her own separate bedroom as well. Wyatt said the penthouse was spacious, and they could decorate or adjust the rooms however they liked. Are your rooms comfortable? Wyatt asked the next morning. Yes, Red said excitedly. I slept so well. The bed is so soft. Mine too, Black added. My back didn't even hurt. Helen couldn't help but smile as she listened to her children describe their night with so much joy and animation. She was preparing coffee for Wyatt while the triplets sat at the dining table, ready to eat breakfast with him. What about you, Helen? Wyatt asked as she placed the coffee mug in front of him. She paused slightly. Me? Yes. Did you like your room? Did you sleep well? Helen gave a small nod. Yes, sir. Thank you. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Their hands brushed briefly as she handed him the mug, and her heart skipped a beat. She wasn't sure why, but hearing Wyatt say her name always sent a flutter through her chest. Come eat with us, Helen, Wyatt offered casually. I don't mind. It's always nicer to eat when there's company. A little shy and hesitant, Helen slowly sat across from him. It was still a big adjustment for her and the kids. They had never lived in such a beautiful home before, let alone with someone else. The four of them had always just had each other. The warmth of having a full table during breakfast was something new, strange but comforting, although to Helen, adjusting to life in the penthouse and using all the high-tech appliances was more challenging than adjusting to Wyatt's presence, especially since he was always patient and kind, even when the kids bombarded him with questions. Sir, are you okay? Helen asked later that night. Wyatt had just come home, looking exhausted. The kids were already asleep, and Helen had been waiting, worried. He had asked her earlier to cook his favorite dish, but it was already past 10, and he had yet to eat. Wyatt let out a long sigh. No, I'm not. I think I messed up today. Helen frowned. What happened? My employees couldn't secure a contract for a multi-million-dollar deal. If I can't convince the other party to sign, it'll be a huge loss for the company. I already reheated your favorite dish. Would you like to eat? Maybe it'll help you feel better. Wyatt's face lit up. Really? I'm actually starving. As she warmed up the food, he simply sat and watched her, admiring how natural she looked in his kitchen. He had noticed lately how much he enjoyed her cooking. Even with his former housekeepers, He never cared much for home-cooked meals, but Helen's food always made him feel at ease. The next morning, Wyatt personally accompanied the triplets to their new school, a prestigious private academy. "Uncle Wyatt, is this really where we're going to study?" the kids asked in disbelief. "Yes. Do you like it?" "Yes, but—" Red hesitated. "Isn't it too expensive?" "I've already paid everything," Wyatt replied with a gentle smile. "What's important is that you're comfortable here." "But the kids here all look so rich," Gray added. "We're not rich." "Forget about them," Wyatt said, ruffling their hair. "Just focus on studying. Not all rich kids are mean, okay? I'm sure you'll find friends here, and if anyone bothers you, tell your mom, or me." "Yes, Uncle Wyatt, we promise to study hard," the three chorused. Helen knelt in front of her kids. "Study well, behave, and listen to your teachers." "Yes, Mama, we promise." After giving her hugs and kisses, the triplets ran into their classroom. Today was their first day of school, and Helen couldn't help but feel grateful to Wyatt. He had insisted on enrolling the kids in this school, and even covered all their expenses, wanting to give them a better future. "Are they the triplets' parents?" Helen overheard someone whisper behind her. She turned and saw two well-dressed women watching the children. "Yeah, I think so," one replied. "Wow, the dad is super hot. He looks like a model." "I know, right? But why does the wife look like that? She looks like a maid." Helen instinctively looked down at her simple clothes. "Look at her outfit. So outdated. Total downgrade." They both chuckled meanly. Wyatt heard them too, and gave the women a sharp glare before turning to Helen. "Don't listen to them," he said, seeing the discomfort in her eyes. "Some people just don't know when to shut up." Helen gave a faint smile. "They're just rude." Then Wyatt suddenly took her hand, surprising her. "Let's go home." He didn't let go of her hand until they reached the parking lot, only realizing it when they were about to get into the car. "Sorry," he said quickly, pulling his hand back. "I didn't notice I was still holding your hand." "It's okay, sir," Helen replied quietly. Wyatt opened the door for her, and she nodded in thanks as she got in. From the passenger seat, she whispered to herself, "Because of you, my children are studying in a beautiful school now." Wyatt smiled at her. "I told you, they deserve it. They're good and smart kids. I want them to experience all the things I did growing up." Truth be told, Helen had no idea why Wyatt was being so kind to them, especially to her children. Maybe he was just naturally generous. He certainly seemed to love children. She tried not to overthink it too much. With the triplets now enrolled in such a prestigious school, Helen thought they were finally safe from judgment. But it wasn't long before rumors and cruelty found their way to the kids. Some students mocked them for their unusual eye colors, saying they didn't belong in such an elite school. Worse, it wasn't just the children. Their parents joined in too. "You really think you belong here?" one boy sneered. "Just look at their weird eyes. And they're just the children of a maid. This place is too good for them." Helen clenched her fists. She tried to calm herself, not wanting to escalate the situation, especially with the bully's parents present. She expected those parents to correct their children, but she was wrong. "Hey, you maid!" one of the mothers snapped. "You have no right to talk to my child like that. I raised my son, to be honest, and he was just stating the truth. Your kids don't belong here. They're just the children of a maid." Helen was stunned, speechless, but before she could respond, Wyatt appeared beside her. "Watch your mouth, woman," he said coldly, wrapping an arm around Helen's waist and glaring at the other parent. "You don't know her, so don't you dare judge her." "I was just—" "No explanation needed," Wyatt interrupted. "Our sons have different eyes because they have heterochromia. It's a rare genetic condition. I thought you or your doctor husband would know that." And as for my fiancée, whether she's a maid or a single mother, I'm proud of her. The only one with a problem here is you and your narrow-mindedness." The woman was left speechless, her face burning with humiliation. "Thank you for standing up for us," Helen said later, as Wyatt sat on the couch, flipping through some papers. He looked up. "Have a seat, Helen." She sat, hands folded on her lap. "Did the triplets say anything else about those bullies? Did anything physical happen?" Helen shook her head. "They said it was just words, nothing physical." "Good. I already spoke with the school's head and the kids' teachers. I also know the school owner. They've assured me they'll deal with the bullies and their parents. Their teacher promised to watch over the triplets closely. Thank you for everything you've done, for us, especially for my kids." Wyatt smiled gently. "Don't mention it. The only thing that matters to me is that you and the kids are okay." "May I ask you something, sir?" "Of course. What is it?" "I just want to understand. Why are you doing all this? You've been so kind to us, and we haven't done anything for you." "I don't know," Wyatt answered honestly. "All I know is I want you to be okay. I want to spoil and protect your children. I don't expect anything in return. Just let me do this." His sincerity struck something deep inside Helen. Her heart beat faster. She didn't know what this feeling was, but she feared it, because she wasn't sure where it would lead. From that day on, whenever Wyatt picked up the triplets from school or accompanied them to events, he and Helen pretended to be a couple. To the kids, and everyone else, they looked like a happy family. Eventually, the pretending went so far that even Wyatt's parents began asking questions. That was when Wyatt approached Helen with a request. He wanted them to have a fake wedding, just to show his parents. He told her his family wanted him to marry the daughter of a business partner, but if he pretended to already be married, it would get them off his back. He even offered to pay her a large sum in return. Because of everything Wyatt had done for her family, Helen agreed. "Thank you for helping me, Helen," Wyatt said, after she signed the fake marriage certificate. She smiled gently. "It's the least I could do for everything you've done for us." But nothing could have prepared her for what came next. One day, Wyatt's parents suddenly showed up at the penthouse. Helen wasn't ready. She had no idea they were coming. "So you're the woman our son married," Wyatt's mother said brightly. "You're even more beautiful than we imagined." They welcomed her with open arms, treating her like family from the start. "Oh no, don't call us Sir and Mom," Wyatt's mother insisted. "Call us Mom and Dad. You're our daughter now." Helen blushed. "Thank you." Even Wyatt's father, who looked like an older version of him, smiled kindly at her. "Our son told us you have triplets. Where are they?" "They're still in school. They'll be home later." "We heard they're very smart. Wyatt brags about them all the time. We can't wait to meet them. We've always wanted grandchildren." Helen was overwhelmed, not by rudeness but by kindness. These people didn't care that she had kids, or that she was a housekeeper. All that mattered to them was that Wyatt was happy. Later, Wyatt approached her. "What did they say to you?" he asked, clearly worried. Helen shook her head. "Nothing bad, sir. They were very kind." "Are you sure? Did they pressure you?" "No, not at all." Wyatt let out a breath of relief. "Good. I was worried when I heard they stopped by unexpectedly." From that day on, Wyatt's parents began visiting often. They took the triplets on outings whenever school was out, and spent time bonding with them. For the first time, Helen saw her children experiencing what it was like to have grandparents. One morning, the penthouse was unusually quiet. The triplets had gone on another outing with Wyatt's parents, leaving only Helen and Wyatt at home. She had finished all her chores and was growing restless. "Sir Wyatt!" she called out, walking into the living room. Wyatt looked up from his laptop, wearing his glasses, something she found far too attractive. Yes, what is it, Helen? Do you need anything from me? He smiled. Number, are you done with your work? She nodded. Yes. Then rest. Take a break. I could clean the stockroom if you'd like. Wyatt tilted his head. You don't want to rest. I'm just not used to sitting around. Well, if that's what you want, but don't overwork yourself. Helen smiled gratefully and set off to clean the stockroom. Helen organized the stockroom carefully, determined to clean it so thoroughly that it wouldn't need attention again anytime soon. She lost track of time while working, her thoughts drifting to how much her life had changed since working for Wyatt. She no longer struggled to feed her children, and they now had everything they needed. Because of Wyatt, she felt capable, like nothing was impossible anymore. Is anyone there? Helen called out. The light suddenly went out, plunging the room into complete darkness. Helen, are you still there? Came Wyatt's voice, followed by the sound of the stockroom door creaking open. She couldn't see him. Yes, I'm here, she replied nervously. Stay where you are, okay? I'm coming to you. She obeyed, listening to his footsteps approach. Why did the lights go out? She asked. Looks like it's just this room. The rest of the house still has power. I haven't had the electrician check this area yet. Suddenly, Helen yelped and stepped backward when she felt something crawl across her foot. She stumbled and lost her balance, only to fall into something solid. Before she could hit the ground, strong arms caught her by the waist. Just then, the lights flickered back on. Their faces were inches apart. Helen could feel the heat of Wyatt's breath on her lips and smell his fresh, minty scent. Her heart raced. Wyatt swallowed hard, and Helen quickly stepped back, straightening herself. Sorry and thank you, she said, flustered. She turned to leave, her face red, but Wyatt gently grabbed her hand and pulled her back toward him, causing her to stumble into his chest. Their eyes met, his filled with intensity and emotion she hadn't seen before. He leaned in. Before she could react, his lips pressed against hers. The lights went out again. Your lips taste addicting, Wyatt whispered after the kiss, their faces still close. Helen felt his breath against her cheek. Do you know how much you're driving me insane, Helen? She swallowed but couldn't respond. Her heart pounded. She closed her eyes as his lips found hers again, slower and deeper this time. That night, neither of them was able to resist. Without hesitation, Helen gave her body to Wyatt. But what shocked him afterward was one undeniable truth. You're a virgin? Wyatt asked, stunned and confused. How is that possible? I thought... The triplets, aren't they your kids? Helen exhaled. They're not biologically mine. Wyatt sat back, speechless. Helen explained everything. When she was only 7, her parents died, and she was left to fend for herself. While living on the streets, she met a pregnant woman named Lauren, kind and motherly, who took her in like her own daughter. Lauren didn't know who the father of her unborn children was, and she had no family. They lived together, Lauren caring for her, like a mother. But the day Helen feared finally came. Lauren died during childbirth, giving birth to triplet boys. At just 7 years old, Helen became the mother of 3 infants. She raised them as her own, loved them as her own. Even though she told them the truth later, the triplets always considered her their real mother. Do you have a picture of their real mother? Wyatt asked, his voice suddenly heavy. I think I do, Helen replied. But I'm not sure where I put it. I'll try to find it. Wyatt nodded. Please, I need to see it. I just need to confirm something. Helen didn't understand why he seemed so intent. She promised to look. Later, Gray asked, Mama, do we still have a picture of our real mum? Helen thought for a moment. I think so. I'll try to find it. Sorry, Mama, Red said. We just can't remember what she looked like. It's okay, Helen replied. We'll visit her soon. Her death anniversary is coming up. They had always made it a tradition to visit Lauren's grave every year. That evening, while going through her old things, Helen unexpectedly found the photo. A beautiful woman in a white dress, seated on a swing, smiling gently at the camera with long black hair. Wyatt took one look at the picture, and his voice broke. "She's my mother." Helen looked up at him, stunned. "What?" "She's my real mother." The realization hit Wyatt like lightning. "That explains it," he said, staring at the photo. "That's why I always felt so close to the triplets. They're my brothers." It was as if fate itself had intervened to reunite the siblings. "You're really our big brother?" the triplets asked, tears falling from their eyes. "Yes," Wyatt said, his voice shaking. "I'm your brother." He embraced them all tightly. "I didn't know I had siblings. I'm so sorry I wasn't there for you." Their father was also there that day, and he explained what had happened. He and Lauren had been young when Wyatt was born, still teenagers. Though they loved each other, his wealthy family never accepted Lauren. When Wyatt was born, the family caused a rift, and one day, Lauren simply disappeared. Wyatt had grown up angry, thinking his mother abandoned him. But the truth was crueler than he imagined. Lauren had been kidnapped and forced into a life of abuse. When she finally escaped and met the father of the triplets, she hoped for peace. But he too passed away early, leaving her once again alone. She never stopped loving her firstborn. Wyatt felt the weight of it all. "I had no idea she suffered that much." "You're not at fault, big brother," Gray said, hugging him. "We love you." "We love you so much, big brother," Black added, wrapping his arms around Wyatt too. Red joined from behind. Together they visited Lauren's grave. Wyatt, sobbing, apologized to the woman who gave him life. Helen and Wyatt's father stood nearby, tearfully watching them. A cold breeze swept through the cemetery, brushing over their shoulders, like a gentle embrace. Helen was in the kitchen, cooking, when Wyatt suddenly wrapped his arms around her from behind and asked, "What's that?" Ever since the truth came out and everything settled, Wyatt had become more clingy. Though his parents now knew that the marriage was only pretend, something they confessed to avoid further misunderstandings, he still acted like it was all real. He didn't stop holding her, touching her, and being close. To him it all felt natural. Helen, on the other hand, still wasn't used to it. Her heart still raced every time he came near. She often wondered what they truly were to each other. Were they just pretending? Was it something more? She didn't have the courage to ask. "Adobo," she answered. "It's your favorite, right?" Wyatt chuckled softly and placed a light kiss on her exposed shoulder. "Yeah, smells good." "It's almost ready," she said. "I'll set the table then," he offered, stepping away to prepare the table for the two of them. The triplets were out with Wyatt's parents again, enjoying a day out. That meant she and Wyatt were alone in the penthouse, something that had been happening more frequently. Sometimes, the triplets even stayed overnight at his parents' house. As the days passed, Helen realized her feelings were growing deeper. She didn't know how long she could keep hiding them. She also didn't know if she had any right to feel this way. After all, they never officially defined their relationship. Still, she tried to be content with what they had now, but all that contentment shattered when she saw something she wasn't supposed to. Helen had come to bring Wyatt lunch at his office. He had been so busy lately, he barely had time to eat. But when she arrived, what she saw made her stop in her tracks. There was Wyatt in the lobby, smiling and talking to a stunning woman. And then, the woman hugged him. They both looked happy, completely unaware of anyone else watching. Helen stood frozen, pain stabbed at her chest. She just wanted to surprise him with food. She didn't expect to be the one surprised, and hurt. Tears welled in her eyes as she watched the two, laughing, hugging. She had to leave. She couldn't stand there anymore. Employees started to notice her, some recognizing her as Wyatt's wife, but she didn't care. She turned away and walked out, tears falling freely down her cheeks. She shouldn't have come. Maybe she wouldn't have been hurt if she hadn't seen it. 3 hours later, Wyatt found out she had stopped by. He was furious. "Why didn't you tell me earlier?" he snapped at his secretary. "You waited 3 hours." "I'm sorry, sir," the secretary said nervously. "You were in meetings, and I forgot to mention it sooner." Wyatt clenched his jaw. Was she crying? "Yes, sir. She was wiping her eyes as she left." Wyatt didn't say another word. He had to see Helen. As he was leaving the building, he ran into his cousin Kate. "Hey," she said, but when she saw his face, her brows furrowed. "What happened to you? You look like someone just wrecked your whole world." "I messed up, Kate," he muttered. "What do you mean?" "The woman I love was here earlier, and I think I hurt her. I don't know what I did, but she was crying when she left." Kate blinked, then nodded slowly. "I think I know what you need to do. Let me help." Wyatt didn't hesitate. He let Kate handle the preparations. He needed to talk to Helen. Now. He rushed home and immediately knocked on her bedroom door. "Helen, it's me. Please open the door." Helen sat up on her bed, heart racing at the sound of his voice. She quickly wiped her tears and got out of bed. "Helen, please, we need to talk," he pleaded. She took a deep breath and slowly opened the door. As soon as Wyatt saw her, he pulled her into a tight hug. "Thank you for opening the door," he said softly, cupping her face in his hands. "Your eyes, they're puffy. Were you crying?" Helen turned her head away. "Do you need something from me, sir?" "No," Wyatt said. "I don't need anything. I just want to talk." She hesitated but nodded and let him in. "My secretary told me you stopped by my office earlier. Is that true?" She sat on the bed and nodded faintly. "Why didn't you tell me you were coming?" he asked gently. "I knew you were busy," she replied. "I just wanted to bring you food." Wyatt's voice softened. "Did you really cry?" Helen hesitated, then nodded again. He knelt in front of her, holding her face so she would meet his gaze. "Can you tell me why? What made you cry?" Helen couldn't speak. Should she lie? Should she tell the truth? "I got something in my eye," she said instead, trying to force a smile. Wyatt narrowed his eyes. "That so? You got something in your eye again? Is that why your eyes are still swollen now?" She said nothing. "Please, Helen," Wyatt said quietly. "Tell me the real reason. I won't get mad." After a moment of silence, she finally whispered, "Who was that woman with you earlier?" "Woman? The one you were hugging in the lobby." Wyatt blinked. "Kate?" She nodded. "She's my cousin." Helen's breath hitched. Wyatt leaned in closer. "Is that why you cried earlier? Because you saw us hugging?" Still no answer. "Were you jealous?" he asked, his tone teasing now, his eyes glinting. Helen didn't respond. "Come on, Helen, tell me, were you jealous?" Still silent, she eventually gave the smallest nod. Wyatt's smile grew. "You were really jealous?" Helen's cheeks turned red. She nodded again, finally admitting it. "I like you too." "No, I love you," Wyatt said without hesitation. Helen's eyes widened. "I love you, Helen. From the first time I saw you, you already had my heart. And the more I got to know you, the deeper I fell. I'm so happy you like me back." Helen was stunned into silence. Wyatt gently lifted her chin and kissed her. Her eyes fluttered closed, and she kissed him back. "I love you, hun," Wyatt whispered, their lips still close. "I love you so much." Her heart swelled. Everything she had feared to believe was suddenly real. It turned out Wyatt had planned a surprise for Helen, with Kate's help. He wanted to officially ask her to be his girlfriend. Their relationship was immediately accepted and supported by Wyatt's parents and the Triplets, who were thrilled for them. A few years later, in front of Wyatt's family and the Triplets, he proposed to Helen. Without hesitation, she said yes. He had no plans of looking for anyone else. Wherever and whenever the wedding would take place, he was ready. He wanted to marry Helen, truly and completely. "I love you so much, Helen," Wyatt said at the altar. "I promise to be a good husband. I'll never hurt you." Tears filled Helen's eyes as she smiled at him. "I love you so much, Wyatt. I also promise to be a good wife to you. I'll never hurt you or betray you." "We love you too," the triplets shouted joyfully, making both of them smile even more. In front of everyone they loved, Helen and Wyatt sealed their vows with a kiss, one that promised a future full of love, happiness, and a life shared together with the children they now considered their own.